Hello everyone, it's Özlem. Today we are going to discuss testing, assessing, and teaching with the language assessment course. Okay, let's look at it. Today we are going to look at the teaching and testing and assessment, and we will look at their differences and similarities. Okay, the different nuances and the other things. Okay, we will start with what is a test and how should a test be and who are the test takers and the other terms I will mention. Okay, the first one, what is a test? A test could be anything. Okay, it could be a language test, it could be a proficiency test, it could be a blood test. Okay, but in language perspective, we will look at the language test. Okay, in the throughout the history, later on the presentation. A test is the method of measuring your students' skills, their performances, their ability. Okay, we will look at them in detail later. And how should a test be? Actually, it should be accurately. What I mean by accurately? Accurately means your test should be authentic, okay? It should be like real life. It shouldn't be fake, okay? And it should be meaningful. The students think that they have a real purpose, okay? They have that test. And it should be motivating. Remember the course we have linguistic acquisition. We have question there. We have like affective filter hypothesis. Question says that if your students have an anxiety, they cannot really learn. That's why they should be motivated. They should be relaxed. They should be not anxious, and then you can really teach something so they can grasp that things you teach. Okay, and let's look at the teaching, assessment, testing, correlation, and the relationship. Okay, we have teaching is an umbrella term, okay? And then we have assessment under it and testing at the end of. And the teaching is the broadest one, and assessment and testing from general to specific and specific to general. Teaching, it's everything. Okay, you can teach the morals, you can teach the rules, you can teach the contents your subject, and you can teach anything in your classroom. Okay, and remember we have curriculum and we have some objectives we teach throughout the term and the class. At the end of the year we have some objectives to achieve, and under it we have assessment. Okay, let's look at assessment. Okay, in teaching, assessment, and testing, always remember that we should give feedback. Okay, it should be you teach something, okay, but if no feedback, you cannot really understand your students, understand or learning it truly or correctly. Okay, let's look at assessment. We will compare assessment and testing, but let's look at assessment first. Assessment is an ongoing process, okay? It's like making film, not one shot. You have a process, okay? It's like ongoing process. And then it can be consciously or subconsciously. When you enter the classroom and you can assess everything, the environment, if it's positive or negative, your students, if they're happy or not, and you can assess their if they really engage the classroom or not. Okay, and assessment includes testing, as I said before, and assessment can be divided into two: informal and formal. And let's not skip this one. A good teacher always just assess the class, the students, and the lesson. Okay, it's ongoing. It's not just happens at a time. Okay, you do it. You do it many times in the classroom. And assessment type is informal and formal. It is informal ones when you enter the classroom, it just happened, okay? When you just assess your classroom, your students, uh, the environment there, okay? It's like informal one, and it's not planned. It's like incidental, okay? You give your students stickers is an also informal assessment. You don't have to record your assessment there, okay? Or maybe you can say, well done, good job, and of you, or you may say, okay, you have to do this again, you are not very good at this one, you have to study, for example. It's also informal assessment. But the formal ones, it's like all tests we have, like finals, like midterm exams, and pop-up quizzes, everything. The test can be formal ones. You planned it, you organize it, okay? It's a systematic, but informal, as I said, it could be anything in the classroom. And assessment can also be divided into function. Okay, we have formative and summative assessment. For the formative assessment, your aim is to help your students, okay, throughout the term. And formative ones, when you help your students, they can really grow, okay? You give them really in class tasks, for example, or you may give them pop-up quizzes or mini quizzes to prepare them for the big exams, okay? You are like a mediator there, assist. But for the summative ones, you say, okay, we did a lot throughout the course. Okay, we have a lot of exams, mini exams, and we have a lot of practice. But now it's time to show you are really learn the things I thought, okay, or teach. And it's generally happen at the end of the course, okay? You are in here as a teacher, you just observe, okay? You don't help, you give them tasks, you just assess in here. And remember, formal assessments are summative one, all the tasks or the planned ones, okay? And the informal assessment we cover is formative. And now we have testing. As I said, testing, it could be anything, is a method of measuring your students' ability, their performances, their skills. And testing is like a snap, okay? It's not ongoing action in contrast to assessment. And it's like we have a lot of test types and like proficiency test and the other test types. And always we have like a time constraint, like when we have finals we have like 1 hours or 50 minutes, and it's like a time constraint there. And we always inform our students that they will have an exam, okay, they will have a test, and it's like a procedure that occurs at a specific times in a curriculum. We just have the first exam and the second and third in general with the middle school, okay? But in the university we have midterm and finals, right? And we also break testing into norm reference and criterion reference test. Let's look at them. In norm reference test and criterion reference test, let's look at the norm ones. In the norm, we have a curve, okay? We need others. We need other students. In the generally in the big scale test, like TOEFL, like YDS, like YKS, okay? We need others to compare themselves, okay? Students always tested in a numerical score, like 15 out of 20 or 25 percentage, like that. And in the norm ones, let's give an analogy. Let's say you are a really good runner, okay, but it's not enough. In the Olympics, you have to be the best runner there to win, right? You have to arrive the finish line before the others. You need others to win. But in criterion reference test, You don't need anyone. The students examined or evaluated individually. Okay, they just have their scores according to their performance. Okay, let's give an example. Let's say you will get your driver's license and you are on your car and you have observer next to you and you obey the all rules, you really can drive, and then you expect that you will get your driver's license, yes? And but just imagine that your driver licensed observer says that, okay, you are a really good driver, you obey all the rules, but I'm sorry, because you are not the best driver in the world, I cannot give the driver license to you. It's not happen in criterion reference test, okay? If you are really can drive, then you get your driver license, okay? And in criterion reference test, as I said, is based on your performance only. You don't need anyone else there. Let's look at the quick history of testing, okay? Especially in language testing. We in the 1950s we have behaviorism. Remember in the behaviorist approach, they say that if we have proper condition and the desirable action will arise. And if you don't want undesirable behavior, you just give punishment and then it's just gone. And but they miss something because there is no any human elements there. Okay, we are human beings, we have feelings, we have those ideas, and we are not robots or animals. It doesn't work like that. Okay, that's why we skip in 1970s and 80s we have communicative approach, and they supported that we have linguistic competence in our mind, and then we have performance to speak. Okay, and if the students have linguistic competence, then they can really use it for communication. They say language learning is for communication. At the end of this process, students should communicate, okay, using language. And today, we use communicative approach and performance-based approach, but we focus authenticity and the real life examples, the real life tasks, and the simulation of real world, okay? And validity, remember validity, we say content validity, the measuring your students in a correct way, the accurately, and simulation of the real world. And we have approaches to language testing, which is discrete and integrative ones. In the discrete point, they say that we have language components parts like speaking, writing, and reading, and then listening. We have four skills, and these skills can be tested separately. Okay, the word in here is separately. The units of language like syntax, morphology, phonology, pragmatics, and discourse, the all units of language that we cover in the linguistic course can be really evaluated or examined separately. Okay, and all four skills and linguistics discrete points should be tested separately and solely. Okay, but in the integrative testing, they say that language cannot be separated. It's like a whole unit. Okay, you cannot separate them. It's a unified. So you have to assess your students with at some tests that they can really measure their whole language competence, and we can do this via closed test and dictation. We have YDS and YDT and other English language tests. We have closed tests there, right? We have a paragraph, we have some length on it, and then it really measures our vocabulary knowledge, the grammar knowledge, and the discourse. We have some imply tests there, okay? And we have dictation. In dictation, they say that if a teacher says something and then students have to write them, students need to hear it, have to spell it correctly, they have to put the punctuation mark accurately, they have to organize their writing. Okay, so it requires a lot of skills at the same time. Okay, that's why they say with dictation and cloze test you can really measure your students knowledge and unified language components correctly. Okay, and they say we have unitary trait hypothesis, which is you use your language and components together. You cannot separate them solely, and you cannot test it doesn't work, because in natural way language is not something like that. Okay, and let's look at communicative language testing. We have some pros and cons, and we say we have competence and performance. Competence in the language, we have the knowledge of language we have in our mind, and performance is the way we talk. Okay, and strategic competence is like language planning in your mind, and you just plan your language before speaking it. Okay, and we have integrative testing and real world test, integrative test, which is cloze test and dictation. And we have real world tasks and simulation. And problem is that in this communicative language testing, they say we have a lot of varied sample of tasks, and when we prepare it, how do we prepare it? Because we have a lot of options. Okay, it's like time consuming, you have to a lot of effort to prepare it, so it doesn't work, it's not practical. Okay, preparing those kind of tasks, so they skip the performance based assessment. In performance-based assessment, they really focus on student itself. They say we should more student-centered. It should be more student-centered, okay? And instead of pen and paper selection, okay, they say we should have more production, like oral production, written production, and we should have open-ended question, because students will share their thoughts and ideas with the open-ended question. Okay, we have no just one way of giving our the correct answer. Okay, and more interaction in performance based assessment, it should be more interactive. Okay, with teacher, with others, with your classmates. Okay, with the other test takers. By the way, test takers is the is your students, or it will be the one who take the exam. Okay, and the problem with this assessment is that it's really time consuming. Okay, when you prepare it, you have to have a lot of time. It's expensive. You have to have a budget, a real big budget for this performance based assessment, because you have not just have 20 students. You have a lot of schools, a lot of students. Okay, and just remember the Turkey conditions, and it's more demanding for both the test takers and the teachers and the test experts. Okay, they need to more time to test the students. They have to have more time for score it. Okay, and they have need a lot of source to really apply this assessment type. But the biggest advantage is the higher content validity, because you really know your students, because it's more student centered, as I said, and you really know how to test them. Okay, that you see your students individually, and you respect them, and you really know them, and you prepare your test according to them. Okay, and let's look at computer based testing. As you know, we have the era of technology and the cutting edge technology, and we have computer based testing. This testing type, you only things you need is a computer and internet connection. Remember, we have COVID-19 the times, and it was really it was really shocking, and we just went into the hybrid or the online teaching method. And the only things we need is the phone or just a smartphone or the computer and the internet connection. We have a lot of uh, the tasks there on online and the exams, and uh, it was the always there was the issue like the security, because cheating was always there, right? You have a lot of option, but if you have really chance, you will cheat. Okay, we cannot trust the test takers. And you can apply this test in a small and large scale groups. Remember, the small ones is your classroom, and the large scale is like TOEFL and the other test we have like YDS and KPSS, etc. It's gaining popularity because we, as I said, we have technology. So the only things we need internet and the PC, so we can do this in everywhere. Okay, and we have also CAT, which is computer adaptive testing or teaching. Uh, this one is like an individual testing. When you just give the correct answer, the computer gives the difficult one. If you give the wrong one, then the easier one will come. Okay, so it's adjustable. So you can boost your autonomy. Okay, your students' autonomous can be really developed by this computer-based testing. And let's look at the handicaps of it. As I said, it will be always cheating, security problems, and it's hard to implement open-ended question, right? We have no time for this exactly, and we need teacher to score it. We cannot trust the computer itself to score it, the open-ended questions, because we need rubrics, we need human elements there, because there is no only way to convey your ideas, right? So we cannot really evaluate this with computer only. Okay, but the advantages is like it's practical, individualization, and instantly scored. Yes, when we have an exam on the computer, when you give your answer at the end of the test, you can see your score instantly. You don't have to wait your teacher to score it, right? And with this technology and the time passing, we have the intelligence view. Okay, the intelligence view just evolved from past to today. Okay, in the past, if you are really good at math, then you are smart. If you have uh, linguistic ability, then you are a good student. Okay, you are really good. And we have also, as I said, in the test we have test timed condition, and then standardized test always will be there, and norm reference test. Remember, we need others to be tested, and it forces people to be objective. Okay, no human elements there. You need no any individualization, no any personal views. Okay, we are like a robot in the past, but now the Gardner says that we have a multiple intelligence type like kinesthetic, intrapersonal, interpersonal, spatial, musical. Okay, we have a lot of types of uh, intelligence, and we have wider spectrum of intelligence. And this brings us to the traditional and alternative assessment. The traditional ones is the past one. Okay, like as I count them, uh, like standardized test, like focuses on the right answer, no any motivation from the outside. It's like extrinsic motivation. We need always extrinsic motivation from the outside, and we just focuses on the right answer. Okay, it's summative, it's happened at the end of the course. Okay, the alternative ones is like long term. Okay, it's ongoing, and interactive process is is higher in here. And we have open-ended question, creative question, and like it fosters our intrinsic motivation. We don't need anyone to be motivated, okay? And it's really really practical. It's really new one, and it's really applied in the classroom in this century. And we are just in here to apply this one in the classroom, okay? As a teacher candidate, we really use this. And this is all for me. Thanks for listening. And if you have any question in your mind, please write them and bring the class next week, and we can discuss and learn together. And if you have any question in your mind again, please look at the chapter 1 and listen my video again and try to understand it. Thanks for listening.